Hey everyone, I'm Natalie Bencivenga, host of 5 Minutes With. And this week I am so honored and excited to have the amazing Felicia Savage Friedman. She is the CEO and founder of YogaRoots on Location here with us today. I'm so happy to see you.
Oh, thank you, Natalie. I'm honored. I'm honored to be here.
It's always such a pleasure being with you, being in your presence. I've always learned so much from you, just being around your energy. And I wanted everyone to learn more about the great work that you're doing with YogaRoots on Location. So would you like to share it with everybody?
Yes, thank you, Natalie. Thank you for this opportunity to share. I'm honored and I'm exuberant, actually, to share. So YogaRoots on Location is, I call it my third baby because I have Cleveland, who's 33, and Maya's 30. She'll be 30. But YogaRoots on Location is my baby that I've been practicing Raja Yoga for over 30 years now. And I've been teaching yoga for over 26 years. So YogaRoots on Location was born out of my yoga practice, and it's the type of yoga I practice is Raja Yoga. So it's an 8-limb path, which encompasses all aspects of my life. So from what food I eat, how I raise my kids, how I drive my car, how I interact with strangers, how I interact with my partners, my intimate partner. So it's really affected every aspect of my life. And it's been a wonderful practice. However, me as a Black woman, practicing an East Indian philosophy, which is Raja Yoga is an East Indian philosophy, I have to lead with my Black womanness.
Right.
Because that's how I see the world. You know, this has been my experience. Had a birthday a couple weeks ago. I'm 57. So this is the way I see the world as a Black woman. That's how the world experiences me. So probably about 6-7 years ago now, I attended the People's Institute for Survival and Beyond, their Undoing Racism workshop, and it's a 2.5-day workshop.
Okay.
And at that point, 6 years ago, I had, actually it was 8 years ago, I had written a curriculum to do a 200-hour yoga teacher training, a Raja Yoga teacher training. And there was something, Natalie, that I just wasn't finished. Now that's oftentimes par for the course for me. I get to an end of a project, but I still feel that
there's still more.
Yeah, there's something that's missing, like out of cooking, there's an ingredient that's missing.
Exactly.
And so I attended that training, and Natalie, to hear the energy as well as hear the words about, Dustin Washington was the lead trainer for this Youth Undoing Institutionalized Racism workshop, 2-day workshop in St. Louis, at the University of St. Louis. And it was shortly after the Ferguson uprisings due to another killing of a Black man. And we were there probably a couple months after. So it's pretty intense emotionally. So we're talking about how to undo racism within ourselves and in the systems that we work in or work with. And I was like, Natalie, this is it.
Yeah.
I need this anti-racist framework combined with the Raja Yoga framework and practice that I have. And that was it. That was what I was missing. And so the Raja Yoga forms the foundation. My foundation is rooted in love. I'm a child of the 60s. I was born in 63. Yes, it is about rainbows and butterflies. We need to have equity. Every child, every person.
And I was gonna say that I think without justice, love sort of is hollow, right?
Right.
So rooting it in a framework of not only love, but the justice that is the action of love. That's right.
Right.
So how do you incorporate that? What would an actual yoga class look like coming from that perspective?
Right. And I'm asked this question all the time. Like, how can you have anti-racist and Raja Yoga coming together.
Mm-hmm.
And what I say is Raja Yoga forms that foundation or those standards.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Catholic high school. I graduated from Sacred Heart. I
Mm-hmm.
rep Sacred Heart High School, class of 81. I'm not Catholic. I was Baptist.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in the Christian church.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of the spiritual roots, I understood God.
Yeah.
But I understood God more in how we relate to each other.
Mm.
So having this foundation of Raja Yoga, which is grounded in love.
Yeah.
And yoga literally means to yoke or to join. So
Mm-hmm.
we're joining our individual spirit
Mm-hmm.
or our individual soul back to the spirit. And what I love about it, it's universal.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what spiritual or religious tradition you have,
Mm-hmm.
you can apply it, it can make application because it's more universal. So that foundation of Raja Yoga, which is love, and then bringing on top of it the anti-racist framework. Oh my gosh, the anti-racist framework gives us the equity framework of how we see ourselves, holds us accountable to being more equitable and more humane.
Right.
But the Raja Yoga grounds it in love. Because what I see and what I've seen in a lot of social justice movements
Mm-hmm.
is that they don't have that spiritual,
Mm-hmm.
universal love grounding. So there's always going to be an antagonist and a protagonist.
Right.
There's always going to be someone who's oppressed and the oppressor,
Mm-hmm.
right? So for me, the Raja Yoga really levels the playing field and says, no, we need to hold each other in love and grounded in love. I need to hold you accountable, right? But I need to and it's almost like how we hear calling out culture,
Yeah.
but we're calling out folks to call them in a humane way that honors them so they're not pushing back on it.
And I really appreciate that, especially in this moment as we sort of end our 5 minutes together. I'd love for you to explain how we can use this work and the work that you do on a collective level to heal, to free one another, yes. Right? From the chains of white supremacy, because it hurts all of us. So,
absolutely.
So taking that bigger look, how can we do that?
Yes, and thank you, Natalie, for knowing that white supremacy hurts all of us. Mm-hmm. It's Black and brown, indigenous folks, and mm-hmm. white folks.
Oh yeah,
because it takes our life force, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. So knowing that we live in this mundane existence with there's opposites, and in white supremacy culture, taking our life force, what we need to do is practice life-giving practices. Mm. And so in relationship, what that looks like is us coming together, holding each other accountable in relationship, not throwing each other away, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. Continuing to come back and have these hard conversations. Mm-hmm. I curate spaces of sanctuary mm-hmm. so that we can have these vulnerable, intimate conversations until these systems of oppression are no more. And so for me, my goal with YogaRoots on Location is literally collective liberation. So it's not just liberation of Black folk or liberation of brown folk, indigenous, it's collective liberation. And this is across all of the barriers that we as humans have erected, be that sexual orientation, race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status. So I curate spaces that bring all types of people together so that we can hold each other in love and help us all get to the mountaintop at the same time. I believe there's enough room.
Yes.
There's enough room.
There's space for all of us to stand in a circle, right?
Absolutely. And that's why usually when we're meeting in person, mm-hmm. my classes are held in a circle.
Yes.
Because there's no beginning, no end. This is about all of, and I can't be free by myself.
Right.
I have to be free within community of people who are really working at that same collective liberation. No exceptions, no favoritism, no nepotism, just all of us free. And I'm excited because I can see it. I can see it, Natalie. I can see it. And my faith is in humankind. I mean, my faith is in God. That's where, for me. the God of my understanding, is that we've been charged with taking the sheaths of illusion off of our eyes, the Maya, that's what we call it in yoga. So the illusion has been stripped from us. And that's what we're feeling right now. And it's hard, it's a hard time.
Yeah.
But if we ground our practices in love, whatever those spiritual religious practices are, or our everyday practices, if we ground that in true unconditional love, we can hold space for people who vote different than us and really hold space for their humanity, because that's the secret. I really believe that. It's easy to talk to people who have the same philosophy as me.
Right.
Right? It's easy to love on people like that.
Right.
But love on people who philosophically different, are different than you, and just be able to still hold that as the protected space. So for me, it's collective liberation, and I'm holding out. I'm holding out for it.
Well, I will follow you in that space for sure, anytime, anywhere. And I believe in you and the work that you're doing for our community and for the greater good. So if people want to be a part of YogaRoots on Location, where can they find you?
Yes. Oh, thank you. YogaRootsOnLocation.com. We're online. Please look up the website. They can also Google my name, Felicia Savage Friedman, and it's Friedman. But YogaRoots on Location, please. And I'm right now I'm holding continuing education courses so that we can learn what the systems of oppression are and how they impact us. And what we can do about it. And so those are continuing education credits I'm offering once a month. So I think I have one coming up this Monday, actually on September 21st. So just check me out at YogaRootsOnLocation.com.
Thank you so much, Felicia. Honestly, you are such a gift, and I've always appreciated your work, and I've learned so much from you myself through the years. So thank you, and I hope we can have another conversation and further the talk around collective liberation. I think that would be awesome.
Thank you, Natalie. I appreciate you for inviting me.
Oh, anytime. Have a great one.
Stay well and be well.